You have a unique perspective because you were an educator in the classroom, in the formal education system. Obviously, as a parent, you have your personal experiences and the challenges that came with that. And now you're a coach and you're helping others through it. So let's begin with this gap between parents and kids and the understanding and the need. One of the topics that you talk a lot about is screen time. And I don't know if there's one topic that can be more universally understood and maybe controversial about how, when, and where screens should be introduced, can be introduced safely. Some parents default to using it as sort of the way to distract your child when you just need a minute to yourself. Talk us through that dimension of that technology, just the screen in front of your children's eyes, and your philosophy on this, and maybe your evolution even in your thinking about it, both as a parent and as a coach.
It's interesting because I have a personal view on it, which is how I want to run my own home and my own family. But then I also have a professional view on it, and the personal is much more, as I'm sure you can imagine, much more kind of opinionated and potentially radical. My personal view is that children should be nowhere near screens until 16, 18, if possible. What I mean by screens, I don't mean the TV, but what I mean is an iPad, a device that connects them to the internet, a smartphone. Nothing good. The research is becoming more and more prevalent now because that sad experiment of children being in front of screens is about a decade old now. And the research that we're seeing in terms of the mental health crisis that young people are facing, the anxiety levels that young people face, the cyberbullying, the predatory behavior, the way online predators are now free to roam in places you think they can't get into. Roblox, the most downloaded game for children around the world between the ages of 8 to 12, is massively in trouble at the moment for the way in which predators are freely able to operate on that game. Snapchat and the dangers and harms that come from that particular social media app. Nothing good comes from Snapchat. You can see I'm getting very passionate about this because, from a personal point of view, I feel that social media has damaged young people. I feel that screens are damaging young people. I feel the gamification of education under this false guise of edtech. I have a massive problem with edtech because edtech comes from all these big players who say we're going to change the way education is presented. But EdTech actually isn't created for the benefit of the children. Most EdTech is created for the benefit of schools, colleges, universities, and that's important because I recognise that teachers are stressed and workloads are heavier. So if you bring in all this EdTech, it makes their lives easier. But then you have parents that have to download 15 different apps to access their child's educational world. One for homework, one for reporting, one for absence and attendance, one for classwork, one for phonics if their children are young, one for science, one for math. It becomes overwhelming for parents. So I don't believe that EdTech actually has the genuine interest of children um, at the forefront of their minds. I think EdTech is just another way for people to become very wealthy at the expense of our children. However, the professional in me recognizes that this is a pretty much universal problem that parents are facing, and a lot of them are facing it alone. They've decided to give their children screens. Rightly or wrongly, forget about that. Their children have got screens. So it's really important in the work that I do that I'm not judging parents or I'm not shaming parents for making decisions to give their children screens. What I then do professionally is work with parents, work with organizations that support their parents on understanding the impact that that screen is having on your child, making you as a parent more educated and upskilled and informed in this area so that you're able to push back if you feel it's appropriate, or you're able to have and help your child build a healthier relationship with that screen. You now know as a parent what the dangers of Snapchat are, what the dangers of Roblox are. I also work with parents on how to have those conversations. It's not a case of how was school today? The child shrugs their shoulders and says school was fine. Where do you go next? It's a case of asking your child every single day, how was your online world today? Did anybody send you anything online that you didn't like? Did you see anything online that made you feel uncomfortable? Did you send anything to anybody online that maybe you shouldn't have done? And it's creating that safe space, that non-judgmental space, where as a parent you're almost walking that digital path with your child. So, yes, on my own social media, and the irony is not lost on me. Of course, I use social media all the time in order to spread my message and to get work ultimately and to grow my business. Um, but I think social media for adults is very different to social media for children. I, as an adult, probably have a better understanding of what to flush out when I see it, when the algorithm feeds me garbage. I have a better ability perhaps to flush it out than a 12-year-old might do. My 5-year-old daughter, for example, would have no hesitation if she was online in giving her address to somebody if they asked for it, because we've taught her our address, because God forbid she ever gets lost, she would be able to tell somebody where she lives. Does she know not to tell a stranger online, not about her address? She probably doesn't. She's 5 years old, for goodness sake. So our children are not online in that way. Yes, they watch TV. Yes, they might watch a bit of YouTube in the lounge where we are with them, but they're not on any social media platforms. They don't have their own devices. They don't even have tablets. My daughter has a tablet at school, which her school gives to them. Hence my EdTech argument earlier, but her school has fallen for it and they give iPads at school. But she's not allowed. She's one of the only children at her whole school that's not allowed to bring that iPad home. I don't want her playing games at home, even if they are educational. I don't want her getting addicted to that device. So the personal me is very much anti screens. The professional me is helping parents navigate that really complicated screen world.